In late December 1978, strong abnormal frost hit the territory of the Soviet Union. In many areas of the European part, temperatures dropped to minus 50 degrees Celsius. In Archangel, thermometers showed minus 43 degrees, in Leningrad minus 39, in Moscow minus 37, and even minus 45 degrees Celsius in the Moscow region. This genuine Arctic cold not only spoils the New Year celebration for hundreds of thousands of Soviet citizens, but also created truly extreme conditions in which many had to simply survive. In December 1978, many city dwellers noticed that the winter was snowless. Rural residents understood that this could lead to problems with crops, as a snow recovery is essential for presenting winter crops, especially if severe frosts arrive. These concerns became a reality on December 28th, when a powerful anticyclone from the Kara Sea brought severe cold, which spread northward across the country and into the European part. This so-called ultra-polar invasion pushed the thermometer down to minus 37 degrees in Moscow, minus 48 degrees in the Urals and Tatarstan, and even minus 50 degrees in the Kostroma and Chelyabinsk regions. In the Eastern Republic of Komi, meteorologists recorded minus 58 degrees. According to specialists, such severe frost in the European part of the Soviet Union occurred once every 50 or even 80 years. Many compared this anomalous cold to the frost of 1940 and 1941. The United States also took note of the harsh winter in the Soviet Union, and the newspaper for immigrants Novaya Russkaya Slova, published in New York, devoted an entire article to this topic, reflecting on the impending new ice age. To combat the cold, Soviet citizens were advised not to let children go outside. During the New Year holidays, people were recommended to refrain from alcohol to avoid accidents and to conserve their body's energy resources. In regions where the temperature dropped to minus 50 degrees, shortened working days were introduced at enterprises. For municipal services in many cities, a real disaster began. Pipes could not handle attempts to increase the water temperature. In Ulyanovsk, where the temperature dropped to minus 45 degrees, central heating radiators burst, and they were only replaced a week later. In Moscow during the New Year, power outages were recorded in many areas, and water pipes burst. People sat bundled up in warm clothes. For most, there was no desire for celebration. To stay warm, they resorted to using gas stoves, ovens, and electric heaters, while listening to radio broadcasts urging citizens to conserve resources in the extreme cold. However, even these measures offered little relief, as the walls of many apartments became covered in frost. A challenging situation also unfolded with intercity passenger trains due to snow power lines. Passengers were forced to wait for hours for their trains to arrive. Additionally, many Soviet citizens found themselves without champagne and regular soda on their New Year's tables. The extreme cold caused tens of thousands of bottles to shatter in frozen warehouse storage, and stores faced a shortage of bread, as it became impossible to transport it in the anomalous frost. This severe cold took a heavy toll on agriculture, leading to significant damage. The freezing temperatures resulted in the loss of numerous orchards, and in 1979 there was no harvest of plums, cherries, apples or pears. The anomalous cold triggered a multitude of emergency situations across the country. In one region of the Republic of Tatarstan, a group of tourists arrived from Pavlodar and embarked on a skiing expedition to retrace Lenin's route, covering 120 kilometers along the frozen Volga River, with the final destination being Kazan. However, their journey was halted by a sudden severe frost along the way. The teacher leading the group sent two schoolchildren back for help, but as they struggled through the snow, they began to succumb to the cold. Fortunately, they stumbled upon an abandoned forester's cabin, and it was here that a local tractor driver discovered them, nearly frozen, on the morning of December 30th. He immediately reported the freezing tourists to the local police, and in response, police officers Alexander Shlakov and Evgeny Torgashov set out on snowmobiles to rescue them. In various locations, they managed to find and pick up the freezing tourists. After building a large fire in a ravine to warm them, the officers attempted to revive the schoolchildren and subsequently evacuated them to the village of Dolgaya Polyana. Tragically, one of the participants in the expedition did not survive. The extreme cold also came perilously close to causing a radiological catastrophe in the Ural region. In December 1978, the area was transformed into a veritable Arctic wasteland. The Sverdlovsk region was enveloped in the icy gray air. Thermometer readings showed minus 47 degrees Celsius. Due to burst pipes, the streets of cities were shrouded in dense fog, and everything around was covered with a layer of ice. On the night of December 31st, a fire broke out at the Belyarsk nuclear power plant. According to the primary version, the reinforced concrete structure of the machine hall could not withstand the temperature difference. It was about -50 degrees outside, while inside it was scorching hot. Enormous beams collapsed on the generator of the first power unit, rupturing steam pipes and causing the oil block to ignite. The fire began to spread through the cable tunnels. The hydrogen cylinders, placed nearby the turbines, remained untouched. When the fire brigades arrived, the main block's building was engulfed in flames. The firefighters had several water tankers and one with foam generator to extinguish the burning oil. However, due to the severe cold, the fire hoses froze to the ground. Additionally, the fire had already reached the equipment, and the cable conduits could potentially transmit the fire to other areas of the station. The cables had to be urgently extinguished, and there was no possibility of disconnecting the electricity. Their first priority was to stop the reactor. The firefighters then resorted to a technique called jet throw to protect themselves from electricity shock while trying to extinguish the fire. The situation was incredibly challenging. Besides combating the active fires, they had to ensure the safety of the personnel who were still working in gas masks inside the nuclear power station. By that time, preparations had been made for evacuating the population, with 300 buses and several train compositions at the ready. Fortunately, with incredible efforts, the fire was extinguished, but it took 20 hours, and the power station resumed its operation. After the new year, the cold gradually began to relent. Despite the fact that the severe cold lasted for a relatively short period, it managed to inflict both domestic and environment damage on the country. That's it for now, thank you for watching, don't forget to like and comment this video. See you!